Now you can hear me.
All right.
Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me this afternoon here. Not only that it's been a very intense and exciting day so far, but on top of it, now I come and I'm going to bring you bad news. The bad news is that the insurance sectors, as one of the being disrupted as we speak sectors, is experiencing right now. And it has to do with two major challenges. The two major challenges that we're looking into in this market. And I'm going to focus on one of those two challenges today. The first challenge is there is a significant change in customer behavior, or the way I like to put it, your customer is not who you think he is or she is. Your customer has fundamentally changed. It was all so easy. It used to be so easy to sell products by simply buying advertising, creating products, and pretty much putting it in front of your audiences. There is a saying that we have in Spain, which is, in any given discussion, whoever speaks loudest officially has the word. That's how we used to approach the market. After a while, we discovered that actually not only selling products to customers and communicating our products was the way forward, but actually retaining customers and selling more to those customers we had was a key to success. So we discovered that thing called loyalty, CRM, etc. And that started transforming that was the first step in the transformation into building a relationship with our customers. But what has happened is that all of a sudden the internet showed up. At the beginning, in the mid of the 90s, when I had the pleasure to start working with internet, it was a pretty difficult practice. What we used to do is we used to scan the information that we had and put it online. So in order to create a website, we scanned our product brochure and we put it under what we do. And we had a company brochure and we put it under who we are. And the only way to actually interact with companies online was by sending an email to info@fill in the name of your company in here.com. But since nobody was called info in the company, pretty much you'd never got an answer. But that's how the internet started. But the internet has changed significantly in the meantime. And companies are starting to realize that. And I'd like to give to you one key example of what I think might help understanding that change. In the time we are investing, being here today in this highly interesting and relevant conference, with one laptop, with one mobile phone, and without investing one single euro, and without programming one single line of code, I could build a website, launch a blog, create a YouTube channel, establish a Facebook, LinkedIn, Xing, Pinterest, Snapchat, Vine, Instagram profile, you name it. And within a couple of hours, no investment and no technical knowledge, I have everything I need to compete against CNN. I might not have the brand awareness of CNN or the credibility of CNN or the great content of CNN, but my ability to reach the world with my information, with so-called user-generated content, is equal to the one of CNN. And that's really disruptive, because that allows not only us as major companies to communicate with our customers or talk to our customers, but actually there is a lot of interaction in content and information being generated out there. And users are exchanging information among themselves. Whether we like it or not, they're talking about your brand. They're discussing about you. The main source of new customers to restaurants today is no longer the Michelin Guide. It is TripAdvisor or Yelp or platforms like that. Customers are uniting their intelligence and their knowledge and sharing their experiences to help each other take decisions. Why is that the case? We have lost trust. That's the bad news. Users, consumers, ourselves as so-called stakeholders, we do no longer trust in what companies or brands had to say when they advertise. Actually, the studies say that only 14% of our consumers and users trust and believe what companies say, what brands say when they communicate. But 92% of us trust and believe what we tell to each other. And that is the key in understanding what has actually happened out there. We no longer can control the message. We no longer can go and sell you something. We have to engage in a dialogue and build a relationship with you. And that is so much more hard. And we are just not programmed, structured, organized, or mindseted, if that's a word. If not, now you got a new word, to do that. And that's the key challenge. So one of the things that I always encounter, and this is to everything we've been hearing today, which I agree with fully, I'd like to give you one key sentence that might help you holding that as a metaphor to what has changed. In my position as a consultant, I help companies, or in our company we help companies understanding the proper change of digital and social media transformation and how it's impacting their business and how to make sense out of it for their business. But the key sentence, the key question that a lot of companies come to us with is, how can we get 1 million followers on Twitter? How can we get 5 million views on YouTube? How? But that's not the key question. Somebody mentioned it this morning in the panel discussion. The key question is why? Why is it so relevant? Why has all of that changed? And here's the sentence that I'd like you to eventually take inside and reconsider. The customer is no longer the king. The customer is now Mr. President. What I mean by that? In Spain, we have a king. We recently had a king relaunch. You probably noticed. And the thing is that we tend to call our customer the king, and we tend to tell our customers how important they are. And we roll the red carpet in front of our customers. And we tell them that we love them and we care for them. But we don't give them power. And what we have lost, or what we have to understand is that we have lost ourselves the control and the power. The customer is the most important person, not because we tell them that they are, but because they are, because they know that they are. They have a completely different sense of self-awareness. They have a completely different understanding of their own role as customers. Like it was put this morning, very well done. I know I'm going to give you my information and my data, but are you going to do something with it in my interest? I don't want to be told that I'm important. I want a seat at the table. I want to help you co-create your products. I want to be involved in rating your agents and in telling you how good this channel or that channel is. I want to decide where I buy. You're not going to tell me where to call and what hours to call. If I want to tweet a question, I want an answer on Twitter. I decide. I have the power. The most powerful person in the world, we've heard it in many, many movies in Hollywood, is Mr. President. And that is your new customer. We had a discussion this morning, I actually wrote a tweet about it, that said there is a discussion about who owns the customer. You don't own the customer. You don't own the customer owns him or herself. So if you think that this is a question about who owns the customer, you need to think again. Your customer owns you. Your customer is your brand manager. Your customer owns your brand. Your customer is your journalist. They will write about your products. They rate your products. They discuss with others about your products. They are your brand ambassadors or your brand detractors, depending on how good you do. Your customer owns you. Your customer is your most important person, the most powerful person, Mr. President. No longer the king. No longer just a figure, but a person with real power and very much aware of that power. So what does this mean for your business? How do we make sense out of it, or what does this imply? There used to be a classic model in which we used to generate, there was a stimulus. For example, I'm buying a new car, so I might need car insurance. So I go and I have the so-called first moment of truth that Google invented. The first moment of truth is myself looking around for your website, discussing maybe with others and try to find information about your product, and then sitting down with your agent and actually closing the contract. And then there is a second moment of truth, which is indeed I unfortunately had a crash with my car. Hopefully no one got injured, but still I need to claim. And then the real true value of an insurance comes to light. But that was it, right? But now there is a thing in the middle called the zero moment of truth. The zero moment of truth is something you cannot control, but exists and drives the decision of your customers to buy or not buy your products, which is basically everything we've seen before. But you remember when I studied economics, they used to tell me a happy customer will tell 3 other customers that they are happy, and unhappy customers will tell 10 others that they are unhappy. Well, the probability of customers sharing their happiness or unhappiness might be the same. But on average, a person on Facebook has got 130 friends. There are people on Twitter with millions of followers. My possibilities, my abilities to reach the world with the information, whether I am happy or unhappy, whether I recommend or I do not recommend this product, is huge. And if I can actually even, there is an interesting case. United Airlines made a mistake. It's a very old case, but I still love it. A guy wrote a song called United Breaks Guitars because United Airlines decided not to pay the guitar they broke during transportation. He wrote a song. It came into the charts. Millions of people downloaded the song. People were going in the street singing, United broke my gypsum guitar. Can you believe that? So there is a zero moment of truth. And that is how customers today decide whether to buy or not to buy your products. So you have lost control of that first stimulus, of that first relationship. How can you succeed with a new customer? There are 3 key things that insurance companies have to change, have to do, in order to actually be successful with today's customers. First, interaction. We need to open up how we interact with our customers. We need to be omni-channel. We've heard it before, but it needs to be a reality. And it needs to be the same experience, whether I decide to call, I decide to write an email, I decide to meet an agent, I decide to go on your website. I need to be able to A, choose how I interact with you, and it needs to be one and the same experience. Second key challenge there, things that you need to change, is become transparent and authentic. Humanize. Humanize your language. Translate your language. We're having a very interesting discussion after lunch about how complicated we speak about, different terms when it comes to insurance and buying insurance product, and use complicated terminology that customers don't understand. Translate it. Anytime you communicate with a customer, ask yourself a very simple question. That's a trick I use, and it works very well for me. Will a 10-year-old person understand what I'm saying? If the answer is yes, I press send. If the answer is no, I rewrite. Then ask the question again, and if the answer is yes, I press send. Translate, become authentic and transparent. Stop lying or being overly complicated, because if you don't manage to establish a dialogue and a relationship with me, I'm not going to be your fan, your follower, let alone your customer. So that's the thing you need to do. And the third thing, and that is really difficult in such a highly regulated environment like the insurance industry, speed. And the thing is that we are not competing against other insurance companies when it comes to the customer experience. We are competing with customer experiences overall. I can, with one click, buy a product on Amazon. I will know and get recommendations that other customers like me, those that I trust, remember 92% trust other people's recommendation, also bought that book and think this book deserves 5 stars. If I can have that experience with a company like Amazon, why can you not? Seriously. Oh yeah, you got legacy systems. I'm so sorry. Your problem, not mine. I expect it from you. And the thing is, as long as no one does it, if we have all sort of a silent agreement that no one will improve their systems and services and deliver one single customer view and an omni-channel experiences, we might survive unless a different competitor shows up somewhere and proves that it's possible. But the thing is, companies are starting to change it, and you need to change that too. You need to be fast, you need to be flexible, and you need to be transparent, authentic, and human. So here's the thing that many companies get wrong, and here's another message as to how to succeed with your new customer. This is social media. Social media is a conversation. It's a conversation that is taking place, and people are not talking about your product or your brand. People are talking about their political opinions, their music tastes, their trips they're doing, or how they enjoyed spending the weekend with friends somewhere having a beer in the mountains. That's what people are discussing on social media. And what do? Here's the thing. Consumers have stopped watching advertising on television with things like Netflix, with TiVo, with, we used to zap, but zapping is already long ago. We've always tried to run away from your advertising. Oh, you know what, since users are now watching TV on YouTube, let's take our advertising and put it on YouTube. 90+% of all users on YouTube press skip ad when you advertise to them on YouTube. And my personal theory, unproven yet, is that the others don't know what skip ad means, right? But they would love to skip ad. So here I go on YouTube, I look, I want to see a movie or a film or something. I'm not going there to watch your advertising. I'm going there because I don't want to watch your advertising. I want to watch what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want. And what do you give me? Oh no, the same piece of advertising that I was running away from. That is not social media. Advertising on YouTube is not social media. It's advertising. And that's what we try to do with our customers. We try to go and put in front of our customers, wherever we can find them, the same information about buying our products. And that's not the solution. The solution is different. The solution is actually having them talk about your brand. Because, and here's the thing, even if you actually manage for some reason to get my attention and have me watch your advertising on YouTube or on Facebook, even then, the credibility of your message will still be 14%. Remember? People don't believe you when you say it. They want human conversations. They want to relate human to human. Something I've been saying for a long time is that if Facebook was made for brands to talk, it would be called Logo Book or Brand Book, but it's called Facebook. Companies don't get the message across. Human beings do, with a face. It's a one-to-one medium. It's to connect. And only when you get your customers or your users or your prospects to actually speak about you, only then you have succeeded. Only then you got the 92% credibility and trust that that message conveys. And if you want to have that experience, then the first thing you want to do, and you need to do, is to understand what do you want them to speak about? What do you want to achieve on social media? And here's a major challenge that I encountered. This is a little bit of a, it's the own creation that we got at Sparkand Strategy, but there are many ways to cut it. How can you generate value out of social media? You can use social media to improve your brand image. You can use social media to improve your customer service. You can use social media to drive sales and leads. Generate sales and leads, as we've seen before, to have relationship with media or communicate news, to recruit. We're going to be speaking about that very interesting topic in a minute. Or to research the market. You also can use social media internally in your company. And then when I get a question from a customer says, so what do you want to use social media to do brand image, to sell, to do customer service? You know what the answer usually is? Yes. You need to pick. You need to decide, otherwise you're going to have a Frankenstein experience on social media, where on your Facebook channel or on your YouTube channel or whatever, you're going to find a piece of advertising from your product, an interesting piece of news about your company, and then followed by an advertising of we are recruiting a head of something. That is not the solution. You need to pick, first of all, pick the areas where you want to be present, and then become relevant based on the topics you want to have, and define what conversations do you want to drive. So if I, in the example we heard this morning, if I'm having a child and I'm posting about it on Facebook, I don't want major company XYZ to advertise me a product. I want eventually my agent with whom I'm connected to give me some hints or advice about the financial implications of having a child. That might end up in a relationship and a dialogue that will lead to a sale. That's the good news. The bad news is, if you go and try to do what we saw before, it's not going to work. And that's the key for understanding that. And I believe we have just 2 or 3 more minutes, which is exactly what I wanted to just tease to you the second topic. And for anything as a sales pitch, I'd be very happy to come and meet with you in a separate occasion to go deeper into the second challenge, of course into the first one too, which is that if your customer is not who you think it is, your market and your competition isn't who you think it is. Industries are being disrupted. This is from a study of a partner that I work with in Front Consulting, boutique consulting company in Germany. And they've researched it, and they've realized that the insurance industry is really about to be disrupted. There are several forces that are changing your market. So your key competitor, if you're Allianz or AXA, might not be Zurich, or might not be, no. Your key competitor might be a different company with the mindset of the likes of Uber. So before the insurance industry gets Uberized, it'll be interesting to understand how your business models and how your different approaches to the market are being disrupted by different forces that are out of your control. Your customer, one of the key forces, your customers will become your competitors. For insurance, if you heard about that brand, it's in Germany, I'm sure there is something similar here in Spain. For insurance is a company where your customers insure themselves. They basically cut you out of it. We heard about comparison sites, another key disruptive force. You used to own the relationship to your customer, a major block has come in the middle, which is a comparison site that doesn't allow you to talk to your customer until they give you the actual lead saying you have permission to speak to this customer because they're interested in it. They become a filter. A partner of yours, car manufacturer, sells cars. With a car you buy the insurance. Well, you might end up becoming a white label product that doesn't even appear where your car dealer actually ends up becoming the sales insurance or the insurance and the one that owns the customer. So understanding that your markets are changing and not looking around for your competition, but looking around for how your market and business models are being disrupted is another key challenge that I'd like to speak about with you in any separate occasion. With that, thank you very much. Do not forget that your customer is no longer the king, but Mr. President, and looking forward to the rest of the afternoon. Thank you very much.